Welcome to another edition of Jazzy Talk. On this podcast, we have as my guest none other than Bubbles, fresh off his win from the Jazzy Arcade Auto-Qualifier. And so, Bubbles, thank you for taking the time to sit down with me and talk a little Third Strike.
Gladly, I wouldn't miss anything for this podcast. Classic.
I appreciate that. So, Bubbles, you started your competitive Third Strike career in the New York scene, but you recently moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What are some of your favorite memories now that you have moved and are in a new scene?
In the New York scene specifically,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So, my first events that I was going to, like, it would be like a local meetup at Next Level in Brooklyn, and you go in the basement, and that's all the retro stuff, good ass time. But that's where I met a lot of the New York scene, including yourself. Like, it was really cool around the time I came into play. A lot of like really strong players were always showing up, and then you had like people up like going up that ladder too, and people that were like pretty good but like not as strong, and it would just created a whole like cool dojo to like go play in. But there were definitely some characters. New York is one of those scenes where it's just a lot of like personality. You know what I mean? Like, people like to talk shit. People are weird and love it. You know what I mean? Like, they don't. It's a beautiful time. So there's been many moments, um, specifically in the basement, that just makes it such a funny crowd. But like, we would do generals. We would do like and that's where that's one captain per each team, and then the captain who like we probably ran like a tournament or something like that. The two best players pick out a team of everybody in the venue, and y'all play like 8v8, 6v6, don't matter. It could be like 3v3, it doesn't matter, you know? And you guys run co-op cup rules. You play best of one, and you're yelling at each other, even if that's your best friend over on the other side. You trying to mess them up in this moment. But the shit talk used to be so funny because the better players, including yourself, Frankie, Ahmed, Hold That, um, even Adam early on, Ahmed's brother, there would just be so much shit talk. And you would send up the noobiest of the noobs and still be screaming for shit, like just having a good ass time, And as somebody who started like that level, it was encouraging to like be like, okay, like, I know like they're just gassing it up, but those moments are really good. Those moments made me keep coming back, like those crazy generals, just because we all wanted to be playing more and make it hype. Somebody's talking shit, yo, fucking put up $20, like, or like put up 100 if you're talking to Ahmed, right? You know, um, I'm sure you have like a fair share of like stories also in the next level, and like even before that, there were other venues to go play and whatnot. But like that was a common night at Next Level early on.
New York definitely known for that smack talk, like you were saying. You
Mhm.
came up in the New York scene, you were new. Not everyone reacts to that the same way. I guess we could say some people might be turned off by that. You keep mentioning Ahmed, which is no surprise. Shout outs to Ahmed.
Oh, the best.
Definitely one of the premier shit talkers in the New York third strike scene.
Yeah.
I
Also the
mean,
quietest person.
yeah, you know,
At least
yeah.
said shit talk.
Oh, yeah. And what sucks is eh, I'm a meme now because of online. So
Well,
anytime anyone gets hit with that flip kick by Chun,
mm,
I don't know if you noticed, but everyone calls it the guard crush.
the guard crush. I haven't caught that. No,
Yeah.
that's funny.
So if you look back on videos, like Ahmed will, or some people will refer to it as the guard crush. And the only reason they refer to it as a guard crush is because fucking Ahmed managed to hit me with that shit at a random spooky monthly while we were playing. And
Where did it go?
because back in the day, Spooky ran an event called Guard Crush. And I
Oh,
think
okay.
it was like Witcher's Final or something, or Loser's Final, and I was playing Ahmed, and I think I probably lost, but, like, at one point, he hit me with the guard crush. See, I can't even not call it
Yeah.
anything else.
No, it's the guard crush
It's
now.
the guard crush now. So, be fortunate that maybe Ahmed hasn't memed you, but I'm forever a meme. I'm probably the subject of a lot of memes that I'm not aware of. But yeah, now it's
I'm
like
not gonna
the
lie.
guard crush.
The guard crush is completely just, like, set up with you.
Yeah.
That's how he is, you know, like, he's
Uh-huh.
such a character. He likes to talk shit, and he will bring up even if it's even if I'm sure you didn't get hit with it that much, you know what I mean? But, like, he just wouldn't stop, you know what I mean? That's like one of those.
Yeah.
He's just relentless.
Another thing that I reminded of, we were talking about how like not all players react the same way. I can only imagine someone like new like yourself at the time, you go into this environment and like you said, we're talking so much shit. And I don't know what was going through your head as far as, wow, is this what this scene is like? Or how, like, yeah, talk to me a little
Yeah.
bit about kind of like what was like your initial reaction? Like, how did you know? Like, how are you here? You know what I mean? Like, despite
Right.
being exposed to that type of environment and culture, why are you still here? And why are you still? I, I always consider you to be one of the more positive members of the Third Strike scene.
Thank
You're
you.
always smiling. You're always enjoying yourself. Not to say that you've never gotten salty before. We've all gotten salty,
Of
especially in a
course.
game like Third Strike.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't even because it's so long. I've been playing the game so long, so I have no idea what it's like to be new to the scene. So, what was
That's
that like for you, kind of going into that environment, seeing all the shit talk, but then, like, not necessarily taking it a certain way?
I took it the exact way I was supposed to. I loved it. I loved every part of it, you know? Like, I'm a competitor at heart. Like, I've always played sports. I've always been competitive. Anything, like, my friends or, like, my older brother or, like, if they're playing something, I wanna be better. It don't matter. Like, I'm just trying to enjoy it, and I love the level of, like, hype and shit talk, even just for a random day. Um, on that note, my introduction to the scene was Ken and Black. Ken and Black pulled me from the Smash scene, and then he brought me to Third Strike, but I'd known Pat 3 years at that point because Pat is kind of like a fighting game ambassador, and, you know, he also played Smash too. So he would go to Smash events because he had Smash, players that were homies. So I knew Pat, and I was like, "This guy's fucking crazy." I mean, like and, you know, it's funny because he would always describe Third Strike. He would be like, "Oh, you think I'm crazy? Wait until you see the Third Strike scene." And I loved Pat so much. I would go anywhere with that man, right? He's a good ass dude. I love Pat. And it was like he brought me and a couple other like good Project M players, Knox, Keychain, Zork, Joe, um, all of us. And he was just like, these are the hooligans. Like, this is this like you've met Keychain. Like, it's like we're all a bunch of hooligans. Like it was perfect to just throw into the Third Strike scene. We all showed up, we were like, "Dude, we've been looking for this for a minute," like, because sometimes the Smash scene's a little timid, some people
Mm,
don't some people get their, and honestly, New York really wasn't like that, like, the New York scene of Project Them really made me like it, and Melee too, because they shit talked. They were positive. It was the same, like, like, they shit talked, they had a good time. If they thought you were bad, they would tell you. Like, it I don't mind that. I think that's very healthy for a competitive environment, a very competitive scene, as long as you're not, like, malicious or an asshole, but, I'd go to big tournaments, and I'd be like, "Man, this guy sucks," and I can't tell him. Like, I can't really shit talk him because it's gonna blow over into a huge big deal, and it's like, I'm not trying to be, like, insanely disrespectful. I don't hate you as a person, I just think you're bad at the game, like, and the way I would do that the way I would treat that is, like, I would just play money matches with people because I wanted to prove it to myself, right? But I never really needed to money match in Third Strike. Everybody's playing with their heart. Everybody's talking shit because they think they're better than you. They're not trying to hold ego. Like, they're just trying to beat your ass, you know what I mean? And, that was just really admirable. And a lot of the New York players, like, they some of the New York players, they play it's not even like they're trying to protect themselves. Like they just want to beat your ass. And sometimes they just want to make you feel bad. Like going back to Ahmed, like he doesn't play to win. He plays to make you feel bad. And that's a beautiful way to play the game. Like I just think that's like I like had feelings of that playing in competitive games or like anything, like just being like that type of mindset. And I never found it anywhere besides the Third Strike community. Especially like in next level, especially like going around to the other venues, in Brooklyn Video Games. But it was just like everybody there was friendly out of game, great person, just nice to talk to. But in game, it was vicious. Like it was nice. And that's what I'm showing up for, man. Like you don't get that anywhere else. So all the hype that came with it is like, that's how I'm feeling inside. Like it was very enjoyable to like, we're taking this shit seriously. We're trying to beat each other's ass. And that's an awesome thing, especially in a game as fun as Third Strike and replayable.
I love that you mentioned our good old friend Mookie Wilson, Keychain. One of my favorite, more recent memories of the New York scene. You were talking about Ahmed. You were talking about Keychain. I love it when those two. and
Dude.
That's, I think, why deep down Ahmed respects Keychain, because because Ahmed is so soft spoken, and it's not like he's a scrub. He's top 5 chun in American 3S, I think.
Easy.
In history, easy. So it's not like he doesn't back it up. So maybe some people might be too intimidated to snap back at Ahmed, but not Keychain. And I love the banter between the two of them. I remember you were referring to a lot of those generals. They would talk so much shit to each other.
It was like we weren't even talking. It was just
Yeah, they weren't even watching. They got to the point where I don't even know if they were watching the match. They were just.
Right. It's like Ahmed would be like, "Yo, sit on the other cab."
Yeah, right. Go home. Yeah.
And it's just so funny, like like Ahmed, this big ass dude, like wearing some like he's wearing like $3,000 of clothing at all times, and like just balling out. And he changes to this like kind of skinny Dominican dude, just loud as shit. Like it was funny too, because like I met Keychain a long time ago when I was a kid. I was like 16 when I met him. I met Zork when I was younger.
Wow.
I met them 2015, 2016, like around that time. And it was funny because like I met Keychain when he was just always loud. Like he's just always talking shit across the venue. He would be like, he'd beat somebody and be like, yeah, too old this fucking scrub, like whatever, like, just talking shit to the locals, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I heard stories about him being quieter. And it's really funny to imagine like a young Mookie Wilson just showing up to the local, couple months, not saying shit, and then one day just fucking like just throwing heat, just like super funny, just like talking shit the entire time.
What do you think about? I think I can safely say this is a New York thing, but New York players are very demonstrative when they play. And I am guilty of this too, as far as like, Ahmed even, right? Like he'll actually like slam. Here's kind of shit talk that kind of borders on malicious, but we have this meme back in the day where, because like Ahmed's got these big ass hands, these big ass fingers, and I called them chicken tenders.
Sure, I love that.
And like, because he'd slap the cab and somehow he would fuck things up, despite how giant his fingers were. But yeah, I'd like to think even like someone with impeccable execution like Frankie, like we put there's a little performative art, right? In how New York Third Strike players play, as opposed to some other players who are very like meticulous. Even like someone like Nika, right? Like he's always like moving his fingers.
Always.
And like I know why he does it. It's for like a rhythm thing. But like there's just something about New York players. We just have to. There's always something a little extra, like Rage. I always like to compare Rage to like he's revving up the lawnmower whenever he hits the SA3 Super, right? Like dude.
There's
There's just Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, did you notice that? And like, or
Of course.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
of course. Not to cut you off, but like you brought up so many more memories for me. Can't believe I forgot Derage. Derage was probably the most inspirational player I saw at the beginning of like going to these events. Cause like when you one of my favorite things to do, this is proper nerd shit, but like I had a lot of trouble with execution, like really bad because I've never used a fight stick before. So it took me a while to like really feel comfortable. I played SA1 Ryu out of like ease of the character. It was like I couldn't hit the supers very well. You know, I didn't want to like I wanted to play other characters or try like even Denjin, but like I just I knew I needed if I wanted to be great, I had to start like the building blocks well. Otherwise this shit would just not work out.
Mhm.
But I used to watch people's hands all the time when I would play. It was my favorite thing to do, watching like Derage's hands, watching Ahmed's hands. Like Ahmed, he does it with such grace, but he's just like he hits his like supers like this. Like it's just like,
Yeah.
but it's like it's loud. Like it's just
Yep.
it like it's doing extra damage. Like it's
Yeah.
perfect. But Rage was an example. Daisuke was an example. Daisuke throws fireball into the corner.
It's like
Dude,
it's like Ahmed is like Doctor Doom. Like imagine Doctor Doom playing on a cat with those big ass metal fingers.
right, right. Dr. Doom hands. He's fucking shooting beams at you and
Yeah.
shit. Like it's perfect. Yeah. Oh man. Like yeah, he's a character with that too. But Daisuke was great because he would just like slam the EXs as hard as he could. And like three of them at once. Like but Derage was the funniest because Derage would like he would hit you with heavy punch DP and with like his ring finger, he would pick himself up off the cab to go walk around to you and look at you. Like he's just like, bro, you got hit with that? You suck. Like you got hit with that? Like it was just like, and he would do that to like he would do that to all of us. Like
Mhm.
none of y'all held back day one. Like it was beautiful. Like I was like, like a lot of you guys would like beat our ass and then give us advice like while we were playing. You would stand behind us and like tell us how to do stuff. I remember Ahmed, Frankie, yourself, like all of you would do that for us. You know what I mean? Like you would be like, "Hey, do this," and I would try it. I'm like, why'd that work? And we would talk about it later, and then I'd be like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." You know what I mean? But just on the note of Derage again, one of my first favorite memories going to next level and being in the third strike scene was like, and I do think about this pretty often, but like Ken and Black brought me in, and it was Ken and Black and Derage playing a lot that night. It was the end of the night, you know, and Ken and Black like, he just, like, goes off to, like, get his bag or something, and Rage gets up and he just, like, taps him on the shoulder, and he just gives him a dab big hug and just holds it, and he's just like, "Man, I just wanna tell you I'm so proud of you. You are getting so much fucking better at this game, like, our games are ridiculous now," and it was just like and Pat gave the same energy back, and it was just, like, a really, like it was just a beautiful moment, like, these are 2, like, like, Pat's a young man, but, like, Rage is a little bit older, like, you don't really see that type of shit too often, like, in the competitive spheres that I've been in, where, like, somebody just they didn't need to, but they just gave you props, and they were like, "Man, yo, this shit is like, we're taking this shit to the next level." Like, we're bringing this to a better, like, point in our, like, history of playing the game together, like and it was just so cool, that was, like, one of my first, like, sessions coming out, and I was like, "Dude, I gotta be here more often." Like, I got like, stuff like that is just like, you don't see that shit. And there was nobody around. He was just doing that shit just to be a good man. Like, it wasn't even performative. It was just straight up like, "Man, I'm proud of you." You know? That was really cool. And I was like, "Man, this is definitely a sweet community." Just, like, caring, like, giving a fuck about the game. Like, ultimately the game, like, we just trying to be better. That's a beautiful thing.
Let's talk a little bit about your growth in particular. Uh,
Sure.
Seeing how much you've leveled up is truly a rewarding experience for me because, like you said, you guys came in smelling like Similac, had no idea what you guys were doing, just chickens with your heads cut off,
Right,
and
really bad.
yeah, um, and you stuck with it,
Mm,
and now look where you are. Uh,
right.
you have multiple, tournament wins under your belt. You're a previous combo breaker winner. You've
Yep.
done super well, finishing now consistently in top 3s, top 8s around the country. You arguably, many might consider to be currently the best Ryu in America, maybe? At least
Thanks.
active
Maybe.
Ryu.
Yep.
And so this is all in a span of just what, maybe 6 years?
6 years is right on the money. I started playing in June of 2019.
Yeah, see, I pay attention.
Yeah, no, you're professional.
Um,
You're my local, like we were locals to the next level. You saw me.
yeah. And so I always like to think that there are it might not be just one moment, but it may be multiple moments where something just clicked for you. Can you recall, like, when that happened? Because, like I was saying, a lot of you, like, you had to kind of understand how the game works, how the
Yeah.
game plays. In the past, I've told other people that for me, the moment it clicked was when I switched to Necro from
Hmm.
Ken. But for you, like, can you think of when that moment was? Like, when it all just kind of clicked and went, "Oh, okay. This is how you play this game."
Yeah. Um, there, you know what? The only moment that really, hmm, there was it was my first like third strike tournament win, and it was a local. It was 8 people, but I beat Ahmed, and that was a big deal for me. Out of like, I've been playing this dude 3 4 years. Dude almost made me switch off over you. Like, he like, didn't trick me, but, like, he shit talked me so hard. I was trying to play Ken for, like, 2 weeks.
I noticed, yeah.
You do know this one?
I did notice that you were, like, dabbling with Ken. I was like,
Yeah.
"What's up with Bubbles Ken? This is weird."
I was like, why is he doing this, dude? Like
Wait, so I could see how close you were. Like, as someone who's played the game for a really long time, like, you may not have seen it because you're kind of in it, right? But, like, people who have played the game longer and who understand the game, they they could see you, and I think Ahmed could see you too. Like,
Yeah.
not to I'm not a mind reader, but I feel like, like, you can kinda tell when a player's really starting to get it,
Yeah.
and it's just
Like,
even, like, little things. Like, "Oh, he didn't do this there," or, "Oh, he didn't do that there," or, "He did this there," you know? It's, like, just, like, little
but
moments, and I could see as you were playing more and more, you were starting to, quote, unquote, "get it." So, yeah, sorry to cut you off, but, like, yeah.
no. This is your podcast. Thank you for having me.
So you beat Ahmed in the tournament, and so, yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those moments, but, like, it was just like, he's been a big mentor. Like, all of the, like, the top New York players, you, Frankie, Rage, Ahmed. There really wasn't anybody that wasn't very supportive and helpful towards me. I would always come up to y'all, try to ask you questions, and you guys would help as best as you can. But then you would also watch me, and you guys would also hype me up and hype up the cool shit that I was doing, which made me want to excel. Like, it didn't, like, I didn't just rest on that. I was just like, "Bro, like, I like that they're cheering me on, but I wanna be able to, like, play them and, like, have it to this point where, like, it's not like "Oh, fuck, that was so cool." It's like, "Fuck, that was good. That was annoying. We just played bracket." Like, like, I wanted it to get to the point of, like, that mutual respect because I had so much respect for the greatness that was in New York. So when I was able to turn over that leaf and I actually beat Ahmed, like, I was down. It was I was I was coming from losers, and he was up 2-0 on me in grands, and I reverse 6-0'd him out of, like, just pure, like, there was a level, like, with my character Ryu, like Denjin, like, especially, like, you kinda gotta, like, you can't really think that you're gonna fail. You don't have, like, it's not worth it to think that you're gonna, like, "Oh, like, I'm out of this game." Like, it's really not. Like, you can take momentum like crazy with that character, and you can swing the entirety of the set, 2 sets even, based off of, like, mentality, based off of how you ride momentum, how you like control someone else's emotions, and how you control your own like emotions while you're playing. And that was like one of those sets that I remember just being fully in control after I like got myself together, because I was just like, man, it's the last game. What am I gonna do? Well, I'm gonna do what I think I should be doing. I'm gonna do the best I can, and I'm just gonna ride, and roll with the punches, right? You know what I mean? And it all came together, and I've noticed that my like tournament like composure has been way more consistent since that day. Way, I've had really questionable tournaments. I've had tournaments where I really didn't think I was doing that well, and a lot of those tournaments were before that moment. But I started really believing in myself a little bit more, playing the character, and just like, even if I have to believe in myself and I lose, it like there's no point in just being like, "Ah, I suck. I'm defeated." Like, man, at your core, you have to, if you're gonna do these decisions in game quickly, like you have to believe in yourself. You can't hesitate at all, And this game rewards like deliberate, like, I'm doing this shit, man. So I felt a lot more like confidence just going into like my regular tournaments from that moment. But I'm trying to think of like other moments that were really defining, like in my head for that.
Well, in general, I think you hit the nail right on the head. You just said the word that I think really helped you turn the corner, which is confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're starting out in a game like Dirt Strike, this may sound simplistic, but if you're not a prodigy like Justin Wong or Daigo Umehara, uh, all fighting games have, in my mind, two sides of the coin: offense and defense. And
Yeah.
when you're starting out, now that I look back on how people get better, not just at Dirt Strike, but also fighting games, but it depends on the fighting game, but I think definitely at Dirt Strike.
Right.
When you're starting out, you're either kind of moving forward, uh, literally at your opponent, but you may not have the knowledge as far as understanding why you're moving forward, so you probably get washed against players
Yeah.
who have really strong defense. Or you are too passive. You
Right.
you walk back. You hold that stick in the other direction.
Very common
And
at the beginning.
yeah. And sometimes new players kind of fall under those two camps. To me, mastery of Dirt Strike involves recognizing when to stand your ground.
Oh yeah.
And I think one thing that I noticed as you were playing is that you started understanding the importance of that. And that goes into confidence because, and especially in a game like Dirt Strike, it's scary as fuck. Like
Yeah.
you don't want to press anything, especially in those first few years you're playing, because everyone who's played the game, they're parrying everything. You feel like you can't press anything. You feel like you can't do anything. You're stuck in the corner. You can't do it. You don't have any options, things like that.
Right.
But confidence, and I think, and you probably see this already because you're at that level where you can. Yeah, I remember when Daice first moved to New York and we started playing.
Mhm.
He mentioned how, like, when we first started playing each other, he could feel the gravity between the two of
Yeah.
us.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what I'm sort of referring to as far as when you have two players who know how to stand their ground, who know not to give an inch when they don't need to. Kind of like football almost. I don't know if you watch football, but it's kind of like football. But like you can kind of tell already in the first few seconds when you play somebody how high level they are by
Oh,
just feeling the gravity, right?
Mhm.
Like that you recognize that they're reacting to how you're moving. Ultra David used to like to say this a lot when he used to commentate Dirt Strike at majors.
Mhm.
Talked about how Dirt Strike is a game that has footsies without pressing any buttons because of
That's
the
a good
threat of
point.
the parry. And so the movement is so important, but understanding the importance of standing your ground. And
Yeah.
that plays into confidence. Like it takes a lot of confidence to go, hey, I'm gonna try and stick at this point of the screen, and you're gonna have to make me. You're gonna have to make me put myself in a range where you have the advantage.
Yeah.
Um, and that can
That's
be
a
very
great
scary. Yeah, and that can be very scary, especially for a character like Ryu, who has such immense comeback potential.
Yeah, he really does. He's fantastic, especially with Denjin.
And I know people have different opinions on this, but look, in Third Strike, guessing is a part of the game. How many games have you come back from where you took a risk and it ended up going your way? This is just what happens.
Yeah, pretty much all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That is the inherent game that we play. It's
Yeah.
a game of risk and hedging your bets.
Yes.
You know, but you know, to your point of like, it's almost like sticking up for yourself, like certain buttons or just like options. Like you can't just get rolled over.
Mhm.
And when I was coming up playing, I felt like some people just hit me with stuff, and I was just like, we just did that shit, dude.
Yeah.
And it used to annoy me to no end. But then I was like, fuck it, man. I'm getting hit with it. I feel like I'm playing the game pretty smart. I'm gonna just start trying this stuff. And I would do some of it, and you find the spots where it works.
Yeah.
And you realize why it starts working. You know what I mean? But it's like once you understand why it starts working, that's when you can tone it down. You don't play very habitually. And then that's infuriating to deal with. You know, somebody who you think is just gonna rip some random stuff. And then the time you expect it, they don't. You're like, oh, are you serious? Right now you didn't? Like, you know, it's, you know, I felt like I used to get like early on, I used to get kind of mauled. And then later on, I used to just kind of like, I used to just throw my health away, just going for like really extreme risks, you know, and sometimes they would work out and I'd get like a good option, but it's not all the time, you know. In tournament, you got to play the odds and you got to react to what they're giving you.
Yeah.
Tools to handle that. You know, preparation is about, a tournament is about preparation and how well you can control the stress of being there the entire day.
No.
You know?
And also self-awareness too. Recognizing how you react to things.
Yeah.
Like full disclosure, when I'm pressured, my first option, and I always tell myself not to do this, but I'm always jumping back.
Mm.
And I can't even, no matter how many times I tell myself,
Yeah.
you don't have to guard jump there, or you don't have to jump out there. But
Yeah,
it's just,
you just wait.
it's wired in me. And sometimes, you know, really good players will pick up on those things because, you know, say like I'm playing you and you get that read on me. All you need is that one read to turn the game around, depending on
Yeah.
what the context of the round is. So
One knockdown, you already had a little bit of stun. The game could be over.
Yeah.
And not on a bad guess from your side of the coin. Like it's just, this is how the game works sometimes. It's you know, there are characters like that. Ryu is definitely one of them.
But I think a
Knock-
big part of that confidence, though, is having that solid foundation, learning
Right.
what Daisuke and I used to like to call the math of the game. And so, speaking of Daisuke, what was it like? Because he was kind of your first Third Strike mentor, right? Well, Ken and Black was, I guess,
Yeah.
and then Daisuke was your Ryu mentor.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that like being trained by Daisuke, especially you becoming a Denjin player? Daisuke, very different.
Yeah.
Ryu,
Doesn't like Denjin.
yeah. So how was that like, just being trained by Daisuke and then at some point kind of like, I don't know what the conversation was like, whether Daisuke was, and I don't even know what Daisuke's approach was in terms of mentoring you. Was he like trying to basically, you know, mold you into a player that he thought you should be, or did he just kind of give you the knowledge and then give you the room and space to kind of grow into your own? But like, what was that like, kind of being mentored by Daisuke?
It was more that second one. Daisuke was he really respected because we just like to talk in general. Like, you know, we would talk about a lot of different shit in the world, and it was like really interesting to hear his perspective on it because he's such a different person than me. You know, like I was 20. You know, I'm a 20-year-old little white boy from or big white boy from Long Island, you know what I mean? Like I'm over in New York, and he's like this. He's a Japanese salaryman. He moved to New York. He's lived a lot of life. He's 30 something. He's 37, right? And it was, um, you know, it was just interesting. So he always valued like my input on stuff, you know, like if I had a question or I had like an intuition about something, a lot of times I would be wrong, but he would understand where I was trying to come from. And he would be like, that's not a bad idea, but you could do this instead if you're trying to look for this. And then later on, I would come up with some ideas that he was like, oh, that's really good. That's really smart. But you know, you don't get that without trial and error and open discussion. Daisuke told me at the beginning he was like, it was like straight up. He was like, dude, I'm old. I want to give away my Ryu secrets, but like to someone who I think is worthy. And he would say to me, he was like, I've seen a lot of Ryu players just out and about and not like he met me when I was not even a year into the game, but he already saw that I was doing some of the right things. Um, he and I both don't like when Ryu players are unoptimal, like with combos, you know, like Ryu is about hitting donkey kick. If you can't hit donkey kick, you don't play the character, you know? And if you aren't going for donkey kick, you're not playing the math of the game, right? You're not playing it well because you hit a jump in EX donkey kick, you get all your meter back, you know? Like that is how good that option is. And as shit as I was, every time I hit somebody, I was going into EX donkey kick and he was like, "Oh, he gets it. He understands." And he was very willing to like look at my footage and like just be straight up with me. And he was like, dude, like I like you, you're good, but that was terrible. Like you can't do that. Do this here. I'll show you a drill to practice it. And you know, his style of teaching is very old school because he grew up in the arcade. So it wasn't like necessarily like he would be like, oh, I'll show you how to do this training mode regime. Like he would be like, hey, I'm gonna teach you how to guard jump or like late tech, right? I'm gonna throw you in the corner and you're gonna wake up and I'm gonna throw you or I'm going to do target combo with Ken and you have to block or tech the throw. Like that's how we would practice, you know? And then if he needed something like tested, I would be in online edition and like train up something so I could practice. And he would be like, oh, could you test this for me? And I'm like, sure, I'll try to figure it out. And he like he taught me a lot about the numbers of the game, which I understood because I like frame data. You can't like it's kind of hard to play a game as ridiculous like this without the structure of frame data. It's possible, but you know, I think that you might have to be playing a long time because the greats, like the OGs, like some of them don't know a lot of frame data, and I don't care. Like they're ridiculous. I got to respect them no matter what, right? Like it doesn't like they don't give a fuck about the numbers in the moment. Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do the thing that they know works because they've done it 20 years. Like it's not it doesn't need to be rocket science. But if you're a noob, you probably should come in understanding like the core of like why things work. Because then you can just take it to anywhere. Doesn't matter what character you play. You could watch any type of footage and kind of appreciate and understand what's going on. But it's going to help you like develop strategies versus these other characters. And I would come to Daisuke with all of my problems. I'd be like, hey, like I don't know how to deal with this option. I don't know how to deal with this character. Can you give me a structure on it? And he would watch my footage and he'd be like, you're standing in the wrong spot. Stand like a little further back and then do these buttons and they will never win. And I was like, wow. Sometimes like the Street Fighter, this is my first Street Fighter, but Street Fighter to me is about where you stand. It's about the matchups and it's about where you stand. Like that is Street Fighter to me because if that like you can tell how ridiculous somebody is at the game. Like you were mentioning before, just like without the movement, without the buttons, just watching somebody's movement. If they move to the right space and you know that, that is a ridiculous player, you know, because they understand so many options and they didn't even do anything. They just walked back or they walked forward into the right spot, the threatening zone. And he would give me all those pieces. I would try them out. I would play people and I would see improvement because I'm just trying the options that he's mentioning. And then, you know, even when you're trying out something that you don't understand at first, right? If you're paying attention, you try to like, why did that work? What did that beat? Why is this working here and not here? Like you become a bit more in tune with it and you really start like sharpening your offense, your defense. all these aspects that, you were so shit at before. But now you have a couple of tools that you can really fight with. And it just all kind of got like exponential. But like that first year, 2, 3 years that Daisuke was talking to me, like I was also an SA1 player back then. I switched to Denjin maybe like 3 years ago just because it's undeniably ridiculous. But a lot of our understanding of the game was through the lens of playing SA1 Ryu, where, you should focus on the matchups because his super's fine, his EX is great, but like you're not gonna you're not just gonna like do combos that work on all of the cast like all the time and just like and you're not just gonna do the same things over and over again. You have to kind of understand how these characters function a little bit more, and or if you really want to beat them, you want to consistently win. So um we would always watch footage, old Japanese players, Daisuke himself, and we would theory craft a lot and just try to figure out different like ways to play. And it was awesome because he would come out to the arcade. So if I lost and I got to, like I just lost and I was like, I don't know why I lost, right? And I'm trying to emulate Daisuke's style of play. I would just watch Daisuke beat that person or play them. You know what I mean? He didn't win every time, but like it gave me hope. I was like, oh, maybe I could beat Frankie in the future. Maybe I could beat like not to just take away from Daisuke's like level of how ridiculous he was, but like he never tried to treat me like I was just shit. He's just like, you're just not good yet, you know? And it's just like you gotta keep working at this. Like here's some bods. Here's this random like third strike fact that, like nobody else knows except me because they put that in the Japanese magazine that came out with the game in 1999. I'm like, what? Like what? I wouldn't know that. Um, yeah, his lines of teaching was brilliant. And he even mentions that like through teaching me, it reaffirmed how he wanted to play the game. And he got a lot better because of the experience too, which just makes me feel I'm glad he got a lot out of it too. You know, I don't it was just like when he came from Japan to America, he said he was very uncut, didn't really study, just played SA1 Ryu when he could, and he was just ridiculous that way. But um, his lens of the game is it's really brilliant. It's really brilliant, and made me who I am today.
Yeah, I think the foundation that he helped build for you, credit where credit is due. It might be RKF who came up with this, with the Denjin baseball meme.
Yeah, I
But
think
I
so.
think the reason why it's so apt is because for anyone who watches baseball, the decision making that goes into what a pitcher throws involves more than just the pitcher and the batter. It
Yeah.
requires an understanding of the moment and what is going on at that particular point in the game. And so I think because Daisuke helped you build that really strong foundation, now that you have that foundation, you're not just throwing the Denjin whenever it feels right.
Of course.
It's
Yeah.
more calculated. You you understand why you should let it rip here or why you might want to set it up here. And I think a lot of that is because of the foundation that Daisuke helped you build.
Mhm.
And so that's why I think the baseball analogy is really apt because when it comes to pitchers deciding what to throw,
Yeah.
like for instance, is there anyone on base? Or how
Yeah.
many outs? What's the strike count? So forth and
Right.
so on.
Yeah. What's the tempo? How are they feeling?
Yeah.
Like so many factors.
So with that said, you had mentioned that you switched to Denjin because its power is undeniable. And so what was that like? Was it what was did Daisuke have like a reaction or like was it like did he want you to continue trying to use SA1 or how did he respond ultimately when 'cause you must have had that conversation maybe
Oh yeah.
multiple times, right? Like so
Right.
what was that like when you kind of decided, okay, Daisuke has taken me so far
Mhm.
and now because like you said at the beginning of this podcast, you're a competitor. It's not enough to win the respect of your peers and others. You want to actually win.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, yeah, what was that like? What were those conversations like when you started to tell Daice, hey, I think I gotta use Denjin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so for maybe a year, it had been talked about. Like we had talked about, like, yeah, I mentioned, I was like, you think you'd be a lot better if you played Denjin? He's like, of course. Are you like, look at this? But like his immediate answer. And then when he really talked about it, he's just like, I don't think I could play any character the way that I like to play Third Strike, except with SA1 Ryu. And you could see that in his gameplay. Like he loves playing that character. It's, like when he hasn't played in a long time, he comes back to it and it's beautiful. And I love SA1 Ryu. It's easily one of my favorites. It's like I had a lot of fun playing back then, even though I wasn't really great and I was learning a lot of stuff and it was extremely frustrating. Um, he's such a cool character. He's just not strong enough, And I feel like he's like SA1 Ryu might be like around like Necro as far as like strength, maybe higher than Necro, but like there's there's so many really strong characters and you know, not to just be a tier whore or anything, but like I I've always played good characters in games. Like Smash, I played top 6 characters because like I'm not stupid. Like one, these characters are fun and fast and they're really damaging, but that's the style of play I like to play, right? Now, you can play Ryu and be very damaging. You have rounds like that even with SA1 Ryu where you're just like 2 donkey kicks, stun. You know what I mean? Like those rounds happen. It's possible, but like Denjin is a way more explosive, consistent way and tournament winning way to like really handle a lot of people in a tournament set. So like we always used to watch footage, like we would watch SA1 players. Ru, one of my favorites. Ru, Namijin, um, Daisuke, of course, Oshamambo. Um, but like I loved SA1. Like it is a way I really enjoy playing the game. So switching over to Denjin was weird at first because I was like, I uh I was hesitant for a while. And it wasn't like I thought Daisuke would be disappointed in me. Daisuke always said that he was just like, he's like, look, I just like teaching you. I don't care if you go play Makoto or Ken, which were the other characters I was considering playing. He was just like, I just like talking about the game with you and I want to be able to play. And like, our talks always help. He is like, he understands those characters really well too. So he could still probably try to help me a lot. But it was mainly like I was playing people and I felt like I was playing against like characters like Urian, and like I would be like, dude, like that matchup's not fun with SA1. It's really not. It's just like you have no ridiculous equalizer that Urian has. And you can hit the motherfucker like 27 times and he might still not die. And then you pick an extremely big blunder where they parry like some layered option, right? And they get you and you could just die. Like it would suck, and I would lose those games to Mookie Wilson, Keychain, and I would be like, "Man, I'm tired of this shit." Like, I'm gonna try it out because I played Ryu at the beginning. I tried Denjin a little bit, and I was like, "This is too ridiculous." Like, I was back. I was like, I would play SA1, I would lose like 6 games in a row, and then I would pick Denjin. I would back throw Denjin twice, and I would win. I was like, "I'm shit at the game, and I know that this is wrong." Like, I was like, because I just lost 6 times. Perfect, so, like, really bad, but I have this equalizer, and I realized I was like, "Well, I like SA1. I'm fine playing it, and it's a lot of fun. It's more fun than just back throwing somebody and killing them. Like, I'd rather just try this." And then I got to a point where I was just like, man, I'm done with this. I'm playing Denjin, and I'm proving how broken it is because I was like, I cannot believe nobody plays this stupid super. At least to a point where if the structure of their Ryu was really solid, it would be a fucking problem. And I'd like to think I'm proving that in my own way, just by playing the character. But like our initial talks about it were funny because Daisuke would be like, he's like, "Oh, it's fine. Like you play whatever you want." But then then we would play, and he would be like, "I'm gonna pick Denjin too," and he'd beat my ass, and he'd be like, "Oh, actually, my match is really good." Like I was like, yeah, dude, you're really good at the game, man. Like, whatever, right? And he beat me like a bunch. And then like after the session, he would be like, oh, like my dungeon's really good. Like, why didn't I start playing this like years ago? Like he just trolling and shit, like having a good time. But um it was interesting at that point because he got a lot busier with work, family stuff as well. And I started just grinding. Like I was just going, I had like 3 days off from work. I was only doing like part-time. And all my days off were Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I would just go out to each New York venue to play Third Strike every day. And I would just stay out until like I would just go on benders. Like I would just be playing like a motherfucker. And that's when I was just playing Denjin and I was just like, I have to get all of this down. You know, like I'm just playing. I've got the crew of New York players that always like to come out and play. I'm going to different venues, so it's different crowds, like occasionally. And I just was like, I was just in it to just try to get better and keep playing. And I was like, I just wanted to be competitive with like Ahmed. I just wanted to like, you know what I mean? I wanted to like be dominant over the players that had given me trouble forever. And I was just trying to push that as much as I can. And Daice and I would check in every once in a while. I'd be like, oh, like I see you're doing really well. Like, do you want to like do like an analysis or whatnot? But by that point, it's like we were talking so infrequently. We weren't really talking about Third Strike at those times. We were just catching up on shit we were doing, you know. But um at that point I was it was a lot of like self-analysis, like trial and error, and just like really trying to implement my own stuff, see what works, keep what worked, and then scrap what isn't working and like what's subpar. And I would try to like hold myself to a standard where I was like, you know, even if I'm getting away with this on like a weaker player, like it's not, I can't be doing this shit versus so and so. Because if I'm gonna keep doing this, like so and so is just gonna punish this and it's gonna be really bad. And then yeah, just trying to work it for myself like the last couple of years in that regard. And then playing everybody and like talking with newer players and going to big events. It always inspires you to like really try to work on new stuff. So just you know, keeping at it, keep grinding and whatnot. And when I talk to Dice Guy about it now, he's always very like he's like, hey, it's crazy. Like I met you when you were a little fucking kid and you sucked. You know, like he says it a lot more delicately, obviously. You know, very nice Japanese man, but like that's what he means. And, you know, I've heard that sentiment from a few players, and that's just really awesome to look back and see like what's happened so far. And, you know, I love the game more than I ever have. So it's really cool to be still enjoying it, still loving it. Like this doesn't get old, man.
Denjin, like you were saying, there's a tier list, and
Yep.
there are characters that are so strong,
Mhm.
and some of the you had mentioned Necro. As a Necro main, when I think of Electric Snake, I see it as a shortcut,
Mm.
to try and make up for the deficiencies of the design of the character.
Yep.
Denjin is the same too, and when I play a Denjin Ryu,
Mhm.
my strategy is I am hyper vigilant about Denjin. Like,
Yeah.
but I wanted to ask you, as the Denjin player, uh, how, like, because one of the things that I notice with Denjin players is, like you were saying, right? Like, you could be losing the entire round, right? For like 50, 60 seconds.
Straight up.
You're getting outplayed, not necessarily always because of the decisions that you're making, but just because of the design of the character.
Yeah.
Um, but you always have that thread of Denjin. So
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, as a Denjin Ryu player, like what does that feel like when you're playing the character? Um, like you go through the round, and ideally, right, you make all the best decisions possible. You keep it close. You might even, there are rounds where maybe, you dominate in the neutral and you may not even need Denjin.
Yeah.
But what about those rounds where you're just like you see your life whittling down. You're like you were talking about how hopefully one day you might be able to beat Frankie, right?
Yeah.
Or in a set. I'm sure you've beaten Frankie like a rounds or games or
Yeah, maybe one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one game in tournament. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
holy shit. You guys are like
Yeah.
you as well. Like you're like, I mean, I have like I have a great deal of respect for both you and Frankie in particular. Like you were the two people like I really like when I played, I was like, man, I don't know if I could really beat these guys. Like I just wanted to make you guys sweat. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted y'all to be stressed out.
Oh, you definitely do that. Just wanted to let you know. You definitely do that. It's just to the point, right? Like this is related. Like when I have you in the corner, like I have to like
It's like you
I
feel at a
become
disadvantage.
yeah, I almost feel like I have to be really careful.
Yeah.
So I have to really be hyper vigilant about your meter and just
Mhm.
situation and context. Um, but yeah, like I notice, and not just with your Denjin Ryu, but just Denjin Ryus in general. Like I've always wondered what's that like? Just like the character just getting kind of like it's almost like you're biding your time. You're sort of
Yes.
waiting for an opportunity. Like
Mhm.
like how is that like for you when you're playing? Is that something you enjoy or is that something or does it just kind of depend on who you're playing? Like
Um, that's a good question. Um, I don't know if I've ever put it into words, but it's more of like it kind of just feels like insurance,
hmm,
if that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I can it feels like I have access to win if given the right circumstance, and that's really great because that means there is a strong answer in a lot of situations, and even if you guess wrong, like, 5 times, like, that 6th, you might be right, and you could go to, go to party town, like, it's gonna be sick, and,
or
the way I use
even just like a whiff punish, right? Like
yeah,
maybe you get maybe the opponent slips up or you get the opponent to press a certain button that's
yeah,
not good at that range and you're like, "Ah, there you go."
mhm.
Yeah.
There is that aspect too, because people crack when they realize, like, the potential of it, and I
Mhm.
find that a lot of my opponents scare themselves. I'm like, "Dude, I wasn't thinking about that until you made me let me have it." You know what I mean? Like, I like to force, like, situations, like, I try to be very offensive, and the way I look at Denjin, it's just more of an oppression tool for my style of play because I like to make people make mistakes.
Mm.
I want you to be scared, intimidated by my movement, and, like, tech a throw when I'm out of your range, or like catch like try to throw me on a back dash, or like press a button to try to get me away from you. I want you to do that because I will take full advantage and tell you to not do that by just winning the game because of how Denjin works. So I like to use it out of like that oppression tactic. That being said, when I'm playing it's nice to feel like I can play reserved too, and, like, there's the aspect I used to play where I was, like, super aggressive and I'll throw away my health, right? Like, Denjin kinda rewards that because, there's guesser characters that are, like, really very it's very valuable to guess with certain characters in certain contexts, right? Like, I don't wanna hit Dudley on Wake Up a lot of the time. I don't wanna hit Urian on Wake Up with a button he can launch her. I don't wanna I don't wanna meaty Yun when he has meter, you know what I mean? Like, I could lose off of that type of decision, you know what I mean? And, it's I used to think like, "Oh, let me just guess every time, I'll be right eventually," but you could also look at it in the aspect of like, if they make a mistake, eventually, I got this in the bag, and, I have it because I built up my meter, right? And, even if, like, they make you could just take advantage of, like, a huge blunder or just, like, fish for opportunities and, like, safe ranges where, like, you can get a lot of value out of it, and you might just be able to win the game, so when you're playing those characters, it never really feels like you're out of the fight, and that goes with the confidence, like, I was, like, mentioning how, like, you kinda gotta keep believing in yourself, like, and just, relentlessly show up, like, just keep, like, whatever, like you obviously have to adapt, not be bad, right? You have to pay attention to what the fuck they're giving you, but, like, you can find you can like you can find that like chink in the armor. You really can. Like you have to be persistent and you will find it eventually. Like and that's how I feel playing that character. Even in like matchups that it's like really not that great for me, you know. Some of those matchups it's not even about like most of the time it's not even about the Denjin. It's about like the opportunity. Like I get I get like a shitty knockdown and I don't really get a lot off of it. You know what I mean? Just situationally with like the characters, like or the matchup in particular. And that definitely does lead into not being able to hit Denjin. But um, you know, any of those characters can make an insane mistake at any point. It's kind of like Gigas, where it's like you just did like the unsafest shit possible, eat 60, right? And that's insane in a tournament. You know, that's a very valuable thing. Like, you know, like if you play against a Q or like and they have SA2 or like, you know, like there's other characters that have like big damage supers, just like one off, just right away. And tell me how many times people lose to that in tournament because like they made one mistake. Denjin's perfect for that. You know, I don't win every casual I play, but like tournament 2 out of 3, it's going to be a little difficult to not make a mistake, you know, and I'll be ready for it. Like I'm usually ready for those opportunities to take full advantage because I understand the power of my character and I always have the faith that I can like, I'll pull this out somehow, you know, and even if I don't, it's like, it's not worth not believing in yourself.
Yeah.
You might as well try. Like it is, be mad about it later. Just like believe right now. Like don't.
Yeah.
So
Because
that's how it feels.
there's no other option, right?
Right. Well, it's like, what are you gonna defeat yourself now? That's stupid. Like,
Yeah.
let them beat you. Don't you beat you. Like, come on.
Speaking of the power of the character, recently you were able to. It was almost like a Denjin summit a few months ago, courtesy of Kiyashiro and Brooklyn Games. You had
Yeah. Shout out, Ron.
Denjin Super Showdown. I keep forgetting it sounds like a wrestling pay-per-view.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, it does. Denjin Throwdown. Yeah, absolutely, dude.
And so you got to play Kuni.
Yeah. Wow.
The man needs no introduction. Neither does FM1, longtime Ryu player.
Yeah.
Actually, funny story. Not sure if I have ever mentioned this live on a podcast, but I am pretty sure that FM1 is the first person to knock me out of a Third Strike tournament.
Really?
Yeah. Or at least knock me out of a Third Strike tournament at Family. I distinctly remember my first ever Family Fun tournament. And this was back when I was using Ken. And my first match was against Edmaw, who is a Ken main, but for some reason he was using Dudley. And I don't know how I beat him, but I was able to beat him. Super scrubby. And then I'm pretty sure I faced Juan, but Juan was using Makoto, I think.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But anyway, so Kuni, FM1, and as I was watching the event, I would be remiss if I didn't mention another pretty well-known Denjin Ryu player from the New York scene. I think you know who we're talking about here. Talking about none other than Denjiz. Yeah. And so I was thinking about Denjin Showdown, and I couldn't help but think about the time when Banao came to New York for back when This Is Third Strike was running 3S Fight Club. And we had this crazy idea to help fly out RKF and Vanal. And Vanal at the time was probably the most well-known Denjin Ryu player.
Yeah. Then? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even before.
And so everyone was so hyped because we had Denjiz and then Vanal was coming.
Yeah, dude.
And so I always kind of view Denjin Super Showdown as kind of the spiritual successor of that particular event because that event was all about Banao.
Yeah.
Who
That's beautiful.
Yeah, who showed us a lot about like you said, the power and the potential of Denjin. So yeah, what was that experience like? Being able to play Kuni, FM1, I don't know how this happened, poetic justice, but top 3 ended up being you or Kuni, you, and FM1, right?
Yeah, that order was crazy. I
Yeah.
can't believe top 3 Denjin, like, it was insane, like, especially with, like, Ahmed there at the tournament. I also
Mhm.
thought Frankie was gonna show up, but,
Mhm.
like, it was crazy to see, top 3 I mean, all of those, like, FM1 legend, like, American Ryu. When I think of American Ryu, I think of him because in the time that I grew up playing, um, Frankie 3S, legend as well, um, just wasn't, like, in the active scene. So I would see one, I'd be like, "Yo, like, that's the motherfucker that's ridiculous with Ryu in America. He's sick." And, I went back and I watched Frankie footage, and he was insane, you know? So, people I idolize, like FM1, Cooney, of course, like, I literally, like, I watched him play Ryu for the last 5 years. Any footage I could find of him, I was stalking that man forever. I would steal stuff from him all the time. I would steal stuff from him. I would study him to try to figure out, like, what is he thinking? Like, just, like, he's so deliberate with his reads. Like, it's very impressive. He is amazing at reading an opponent and, like, just calculate, like, it's, it's just, like, calculating the best option, and then, like, given, like, what just happened, like, 2 interactions ago, like, he'll still be on your ass. It's like it's really crazy because he was the per he w it was funny because, like, I watched Cooney and, like, I remember watching him and I was like, me and Daisuke would watch him, like, a lot, and our general sentiment was like, it wasn't that Cooney's amazing, it's like, "Holy shit, Denjin is the dumbest fucking thing, like, look how he's playing, like, this is crazy, like, you can just do this and then win the game." Like, like, crazy guesses, crazy reversals, and it's like, that's coming from 2 SA1 players, right? We don't look at it that way, but we're not unlocking our full potential by, like, trying to understand these options. So when I was kinda on my own studying a lot, I would study him, and I would just treat him as, like a brilliant man, like, he's just brilliant, like, the way he plays and, like, how his reads and everything. So, I would try to dissect, like, the best case, like, if he knew this was happening, this is why he did it, and this is, like, where he's going. So, I was trying to understand his mentality and, like, flow of, like, the game and understanding, like, why he did certain options and, just good option coverage overall and stuff. So, when I heard he was coming to, New York because Rami was flying him out, Kyoshiro, shout out to Rami. I lost my mind. I was like, "This is gonna be an insane opportunity." Just to be able to play him, like, I wouldn't have, I just wouldn't have expected it. Like, it just I thought it was gonna be me going over to Japan eventually and, like, trying to find him, like, and just, like, being like, "Hopefully he's out. Hopefully he's out playing." And, it was, uh, it was cool, like, meeting him. He's like big arms and shit, but he's a small dude. So it was cool. Like I walked up to him and he's like, "Ah, Bubbles, Gaijin Denjin Ryu," right? Like, and I've met a few Japanese players and I'll wear like a tank top and they'll be like, "Ah, American Kuniga," like, or like whatever. Like, they'll say some funny shit and they'll be like, "Oh, look, it's American Kuni, this guy." And it was just like it was crazy to meet him, crazy to talk to him. We used, like, Google Translate, like, talking to each other, sharing ideas, and then, we talked a lot about, like, random stuff too. It was really cool, but he was always like, "Hey, if you have any questions, like, please feel free to ask me. Ask me anything you want." Um, he would, like, cheer me on while I was playing, and then, he'd be like, "Oh, that's super good," like, "very strong," like, type shit, right? And it would go back and forth, and I would watch him play, and I'd be like, "Wow," like, the fucking I was like, "That was really cool." Just like stuff like that, right? Mutual respect. And then, I got to play him, and we would play some casuals, and motherfucker was just on fire. He's just it's so much harder to deal with in person. It's crazy because like, I watched him forever. I didn't think it was gonna be free, but I was like, I know what he's doing, like, I get it." And it took me a couple of games to, like, really just kinda figure it all out. I didn't take a few from him for a while, and then, we ended up playing at first to 10, and it was kinda the same of that, like, he beat me 10-3. It was pretty bad, um, and um, I remember, like, getting advice and feedback from my friends that I was playing, and like, my friends that were watching, and they were like, You just try to play a little too fast," like, I was, like, mainly, I was, like, Envy's advice, like, he gave me that advice, and like, we play each other, he watches me play, like, I watch him play, like, I feel we've been playing a long time together. We've been rivals for a while. I got mad respect for Envy. Um, So I you know, like, when you have respect for somebody like that, you just kinda, like, you hear what they're saying even if you don't agree with it right away. And then you look back and you're like, "Yeah, he was right. He was absolutely right." Um, so and it was, you know, it was cool just the entire experience of, like, all 3 of us, like, Juan, Cooney, and, like, me, like, all of us just being there just to play Ryu at, like, the highest level that we could, like, you know, we're arguably the best 3 Ryus there. And it was really cool to just feel a part of that, you know, like, feel like I earned my way in order to, like, be able to talk to these people that I used to watch forever and, you know, feel like I could hang, like, you know what I mean? Like, I was watching Juan, Cooney and I were watching Juan, we'd see Juan do some ridiculous shit, we'd be like, "Wow, that was awesome." And then, like, 2 games later, Cooney's doing the same thing, and then, you know, like, then there's, you know, it's just, like, just trading ideas and, like, just all around just, like, seeing, like, what's what, and then, yeah, like, it was just, everything, was fantastic, and then, you know, the tournament ended up happening, and that placement, like, just made me extremely happy, like, I was able to not only was I able to get second, I was also able to beat Juan, which was huge because typically doesn't go that way. I beat Ahmed. I last second got some good shit. Um, and then, like, I wasn't, like I didn't I beat Cooney 3-0 in winners finals, but then he got me 3-0 again, coming from losers. But, like, I didn't, like yeah, I feel like older me would have crumbled at that point. I just would have gotten 6-0'd right away. But I held it together because I was like it was that confidence. Like, I was like, "Man, dude, I got here. Like, I'm allowed to, like, feel like I belong here to play this." And, like, just it doesn't matter even if I feel that way. Like, I should just play the game one by one, round by round, just see what happens, and, like, how do I handle this Ryu train coming at me? And, like, how do I shut him down and win? You know what I mean? And, it was just, it felt that not o it like, it was awesome to meet Cooney, of course, but it was nice to feel like I could hang a little bit. It gave me that was a big boost also and just, like, confidence where I was like, "This dude I've been watching forever," like, you know, I try not to treat anybody like they're completely untouchable, but, like, it's important to know that, like, some of these, like, really good players bleed. Like, you really you can get them too, but you have to put in mad work, and then you have to get some lucky spots, and, like, hopefully everything works out well.
So looking back on Denjin Super Showdown, uh,
Mm.
if there was maybe one piece of advice you could give to the next Bubbles, right? The future or the up and coming Denjin player, maybe something that you took away from your experience playing Cooney and FM1, what would that be?
Um, uh, hmm, I would say, play very deliberate, you know, because all of those players, like, you could call them pretty random, they all do something, even if it looks random, we all do something with intent behind it. Like, it's not just like we're just sending it fully, like, there's a level of, like there's a level of thought that goes into it. You can't just, like, fully copy what is, like, happening, you know what I mean? Like, you can try and then start and, like, you'll see where you get, but, like, there's a lot of, like, tactics behind some of the stuff sometimes, and it's not really that obvious with a character like Ryu because it's just, like, he can be so ridiculous, you know? Just very, like, "Oh, here's this one random knockdown because of a crazy read that was, like, risky, but now he wins the game," and it's like, "Oh, look at Ryu." But it's like, there's situations where it's like, these players won't send these, like, Hail Mary, like, risks unless they have, like, information based off of it, and they really feel confident that this is the time that this will work, right? And they don't just send it all the time, you know what I mean? They don't just do, like, mindless defensive options all the time. Like, they have rhythm to, like, what they're choosing. There's reasoning to, like, what they're choosing, and it's like, if you dissect that a little bit more, like, as a Ryu player, and playing deliberate is, like, the way I really would call it. Like, you can't play habitual. Play if all of your habits are amazing stuff, that's a good start, but you have to choose them. You have to be very deliberate. I feel like a lot of the third strike players, they don't have a lot of habits. Like, you blow something like a lot of the really good ones, like, you blow up something once, cool, I'm sure I'm gonna do that again. Duh. Like, but a lot of people can't really shut that off, like, very quickly. So, I would say that with Ryu, like, know what your goal is when you're trying to do, like, an option, like, what's your end goal? Like, what are you hoping for? And, like, what's the worst thing that could happen? If, like, that math works out, like, do that shit, man. See what happens. You might win.
And you did a really good job of that at the last Jazzy Auto-Qualifier at Arcade, just to switch gears a little bit.
Yes, thank you.
Looking back on it, that was kind of a shitty transition. But
I'll take
anyway,
it, man. I'll take it. Anyway, back to it.
shitty segue. But anyway, to switch gears, I wanted to talk a little bit about Jazzy Season 6. You are a first-time Jazzy finalist. It was heartbreaking what happened to you at LCQ last year against our Lions.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that and bringing that up, but it did make for a really sick moment.
Yeah. I'm happy to be a part of the moment.
Yeah.
That's fine. We all, this is the game. This is
Yeah.
how it goes.
But you definitely redeemed yourself this season, punching your ticket to Jazzy Finale by winning the Jazzy Arcade Auto-Qualifier. And I wanted to ask you, what is your preparation for the finale? Because earlier in the podcast, throughout the podcast, really, we were talking a lot about how much of a fierce competitor you are and that you just want to test yourself against the best. You want to see how you measure up.
Right.
And so now that you have qualified for the Jazzy Finale, there are going to be a lot of strong players. I think there is a really good mix this season of, I guess you could say, American 3S Titans, up and coming players, really strong players. And so, what is your mindset heading into the finale? How are you preparing for the event?
Taking care of my mental. You got to go into like a competition like that very mentally strong. Otherwise, it's the finale, man. It's a big deal. Like, a lot of people can crumble very quickly. I've seen really great players crumble at a tournament like that, and I think, like, I know what I can do in game. Like, I can do it. Like, it's just a matter of, like, let's see how much I can stress test. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do my best. I don't think I can go up on that stage and, like, I could beat anyone there. I really don't, like, doubt. I don't doubt that in my heart, like, fully. There's gonna be some tough battles, but I'm gonna try my best. That's all I really can do, right? That's the key. And I don't wanna lose. I wanna lose to them. I don't wanna lose to myself. So I'm gonna focus on that mental strength, because that, like, at times like that, cheeks get tight, people fuck up all the time, and I'll be ready, and I'm gonna try to make that happen, because, like, and if those opportunities just don't happen throughout the tension, I'll try to force those options. I'll try to, like, create like, that stressful moment, because that's how I like to play. If I find you in that stressful moment, you might crack.
You make a great point about the finale. You really can't sleep on anyone. There are times in the past where people might think that there are certain players that maybe are not on the level of the other finalists. But one of the most beautiful things I love about Championship Sunday is that, kind of like what you were talking about earlier in the podcast, this is almost like a running theme of our conversation. This idea that you have to believe in yourself, this idea that you have to have confidence. I've seen in the past players, they shine on that big stage. They go, fuck yeah, I belong. I'll show you what I can do. I'm good at this game. And not gonna single anyone out, but I've seen a lot of players rise to the occasion. And, the exact opposite of what you were talking about.
Yeah.
Like, say you're a top player and you make it to the finale. Like you said before, you've seen those players crumble. You've seen those players shrink at the moment. But on the flip side, you've seen players rise to that occasion. And so you really can't sleep on anyone in the finale. And then there's that added mystery of LCQ. Not going to reveal who has attended as the organizer. Of course, I know who is all planning to attend. But woo, that LCQ, even now at its early stages, it's yeah, so you have that added kind of mystery. Like you can prepare, 12 out of the 16 play or 11 out of the 16 players that you are gonna or that you might go up against, but there's still 4 more that you may not know who are you gonna prepare for.
Yeah, you'll see them that day.
Yeah.
Not even, you'll see them 2 days earlier at the tournament.
Yeah.
You're like, oh shit, I didn't realize they were flying out here. This is a problem.
So now that you've qualified,
Mhm.
you don't have to go through LCQ.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of
point.
the weekend is kind of designed that way. It's to reward people who qualify. For yourself, not only do you get airfare, not only do you get accommodation, you don't have to do shit until Sunday. But I've asked this question to other finalists in the past. What is going to be your approach to the weekend? Are you going to compete in the team tournament? And then when Saturday comes around, how involved are you going to be? Are you going to be scouting? Like you said, you don't know who's going to qualify through those LCQ pools, but have you thought about how you're going to approach the weekend at all yet?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely thought about entering like the side brackets, because keeping that level of competition is important. You can't just like, you gotta work that muscle a little bit. I plan to go have a good time, eat well, sleep well, and then show up on Sunday and do really well. If, Saturday, here's the other thing too, it's because, like, we were saying about how, like, uh some people show up on that stage, they do really good, some people really crumble. I've seen, what's funnier to look at is how good were those players that did really bad, how good were they playing Friday and Saturday? Because I see that all the time. People play amazing Friday, Saturday, and then show up Sunday, and they just don't have it, like, because that's the game sometimes, like,
Any given Sunday. Any given Sunday.
any given Sunday. Yeah, literally. And, it's a it's a day-to-day thing, right? So if I wanna manage my consistency, I gotta be consistent in, like, what I'm doing, right? So it's like, I can control, like, how well I take care of myself that weekend. I'm not just gonna go on a full fucking bender and drink, like, 27 beers and play, even though that's what you do after you lose LCQ. That's fun, right? But, I know that twice, I did that twice, right? 3 times even. But it's a matter of, like, I'm gonna go out Saturday and watch my favorite people play, like, a lot of my New York homies, my DFW crew, everybody that I like, everybody that I love down here, and everybody that I wanna play, everybody I wanna see do well, because that's a big part of the game. You gotta hype up the homies and the people, that are dear to you, that you wanna be able to play.
Yeah.
Or you wanna see them do well, because, like, we're all like a big arcade together, so we wanna just, like, show up and show out, right? I'm gonna do all that, keep it normal, do what I do, and enjoy the tournament for what it is. Jazzy's a great event to go to, but, Sunday, I'm gonna be prepared. Sunday, I'm showing up. I will watch I'm gonna look at the bracket to see who's in the LCQ, and I'm going to have fun trying to pick out who it's gonna be. And I'm not gonna try to stress too much about trying to play them yet, because that's for Sunday when we're on the cab sitting down. That's when that stress should show up, you know? I don't want it to show up before everybody gets to pick their, like, you get to pick, like, the opponent, right? So it's like, I might not even get to choose my opponent, and if I do, I'm gonna pick what feels right in the moment. I'm gonna pick what feels right in the day. I'm not the type to make, like, a list and be like, "Well, actually, I have the highest calculation to beat so and so." Like, I just it's gonna be what's in, like, what's in my heart, like, what I'm feeling that day, and we'll see how it goes. I'm excited to play because, you know, like, I've done a lot, and it's great to be in the opportunity to be in top 16 of the Jazzy Finale. It's crazy to think about. Let's see how much further I can go, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna do it as best as I can, right?
Yeah. I think now comes the time to kind of look back on your journey playing just around 6 years qualifying for your first Jazzy Finale. You were talking about how Jazzy's a great event. I want you to help me out here a little bit and help us sell Jazzy Finale weekend. You've built a pretty impressive resume already in the short time that you've been playing Bubbles, and you've gone through all different types of different events. You've gone to the mainstream FGC majors, you've gone to arcade tournaments, you've gone to locals.
Yep.
And then that's not even counting all of your experience as a top Smash player, which we barely touched on. But
Fair enough.
in your mind, what makes Jazzy Finale weekend special?
I just like a lot of parts about it. It'd be hard to pick just one, but
Mhm.
I can just like I can just tell you in like a memory. So like
Mhm.
I remember I went to Jazzy 4 maybe 2023.
The one at Free Play?
No, that was 2022. That was Arlington, right?
Yeah. Oh, so the first one at Aki.
The first one at Aki. Yes, correct. The first one at Aki, I had it one. I had a great time at the free play one, the Arlington one. Like myself as somebody who was just a player and an out of the scene player, seemed great, you know. But as far as like Aki goes, that first year at Aki was like such a it wasn't like an eye opener. It was just more of like a I like it was like a newfound appreciation for like everything. Like it was really interesting. Like I Jazzy was cool because like there were so many players at that point that like I had heard of, but I didn't get the chance to play. And a lot of like, a lot of OGs, like they don't sometimes they can't go to like all the auto quals. They can't go to all the local. They got shit to do, right? But they can make like one trip in the summer. And that's a really cool thing. So those 3 days when everybody's just playing each other, even 4 days, people showed up Thursday, right? Um, it was just really cool to see like like just see everybody's power levels and then also see how those power levels like change depending on who's playing who, like that weekend like specifically made me feel very like uh I just it made me realize like Street Fighter as like it's a game of like it's a game of like not ranking, it's a game of like matchups and like how people are playing that day. How does this one person handle this character and this style better? It was kinda like a I don't know. It was like I always say this, it's like a dojo because it just felt like we were all showing up with what the fuck we think is good and what we're trying to do to show that how we like to play the game, and anybody could beat anybody. Like, you sit down in the cab, you don't know who you're gonna lose to type of thing, and it was awesome because, like, I found myself to be doing really well in a lot of those casuals, and then I ran into people I just couldn't beat at all. And it was humbling to be like, "Wow, like, I never thought I could beat so and so," and then, like, "Wow, I have, like I can't beat this person at all," and then, like, I can watch somebody else beat them, like, pretty handily. I'm like, maybe it's just a me thing." Like, maybe it's not just, like, they're amazing and they're better than me forever. It's just, like, maybe it's, like, something, like, I'm doing that they catch on to, like, specifically because their style is very tailored to, like, how to handle mine or, like, whatever, right? So, I remember just, like, I almost made it into LCQ. I was, like, 2 matches off, and I lost, and then the year after that, which was last year, I was a match off, which, it definitely stung both times, but, like, I just tried to really appreciate the casual games and the other side events that were going on and just, like, really appreciate the level of competition and making, like, new friends and all that, like, new connections. Um, it's just a big tournament, like, going to a big, like, Third Strike centered tournament, there's really nothing like it, like, just everybody going to an event and everybody, like, kinda being like-minded, like, in that type of way, like, everybody was, like, really cool to, like, talk to. Everybody was pretty nice, and, I just, it just made me want to get better because I was just seeing how like ridiculous everybody else was, and then like also seeing that so and so could beat so and so, and being like, damn, I didn't realize they were that good, or like, damn, I didn't realize like they were beatable, like oh, like a really good player was beatable, and it was just like, it was cool. It was like all the arcades like got together, showed up at one big arcade and had like a field day, kind of. It felt like that. It was awesome. And, every big tournament, every big third strike tournament I go to, like, I mean, like, real third strike tournament, like Jazzy or TSB that I went to or, like, 3S Open or, like, any of these, like, big third strike player-centered, like, tournaments, just third strike, because those type of tournaments are just the most fun, like, easily. Jazzy was the first that made me, like, really enjoy it a lot, auto calls in New York and then being able to go to the finale and, like, I don't know. It's yeah, I used a lot more words than just to describe, like, how special it is, but, it's a more complicated feeling, of course. It's a big fucking deal. It's great for so many reasons, like the level of competition. It rewards, like, consistency of going to events and, like, really playing and really grinding so you can actually, like, show up and, like, get through points to be in, like, a top 16, to be in that big stage and, like, go to these, like, events and experience the same thing that I experienced, like, it's a big deal because that really grows the scene even if you don't, like, see it, like, right after. Like, that makes people excited about the game, and the excitement will make a lot of other people come play the game.
One last question. What do you see in the future of Third Strike? Like when you close your eyes and you think about the future of Third Strike, what are some of the first things that come to mind?
Well, truthfully, I feel like I see myself, being an old motherfucker playing this game, like 50, like that old playing this game at least. Like that's, cliche to say, but like there's nothing that really scratches the same itch like this game. And I know I'll be playing a lot of my like OG mentors very, very late into my years easily. And then also us, like I'd like to believe that we eventually get to be at a point where we get to gatekeep the new young kids, like, and I don't even mean that in like a disrespect or like treat them bad type of way, but it's like, you gotta go through the hurdles just like we all did, like, it's a if you love the process and you stay with it, like, I wanna be able to pass down some knowledge to, like, younger players, players younger than me, just like, you can do a lot of, like you just gotta believe in yourself and you gotta love the game, like, there's a lot of, like, really dedicated young kids that, like, play other fighting games or Smash, for example, or, like, other esports and whatnot. It doesn't take a lot to eventually find a game that's doing as great as Third Strike, because Third Strike's doing pretty great right now. Um, and with that exposure, we could turn, like, a couple of heads and, like, have some people be like, "Oh, like, I definitely wanna get involved in this game." And, like, I hope that people understand, like, a lot of that growth comes from content. For a lot of the younger players, like myself included. Like, I got really into the game from watching, your Mutant Experience stuff, of course. Um, Frankie, his feet work videos, and old Nika KO, like, just videos on his channel of him playing or using training mode, or even, like, old matches of, like, I found it was old to me, but I found Fight Club really early. Like, I learned about that because my Ken in Black told me about, "Oh, you gotta know about Denjis." Like, this was the Ryu in New York, and I was like, "Oh, that's really sick." And he's like, "I know Daice is good and all, whatever, blah, blah." Right? You gotta know about Denjis because this is OG New York bona fide, and you would always talk about him. Frankie and Ahmed would talk about him. So I was always like, I had that, like, understanding. It's like, okay, yeah, he's a big deal. Um, I just, like, those hype moments that I was able to watch, like, from a YouTube video and just, like, really appreciate how, like, well crafted, like, all that content was, or, like, whatever, like, just how hype, like, how hype a moment was, like, in a tournament, and it was captured, like, if we do a lot more of that, like, the community will find a lot more people that are really interested in it, because if you don't like a YouTube video, you just turn it off, right? But if you're gonna stay, you probably really like the whole thing, right? Like, um so I see a lot of, like, younger kids coming in to play this game, and we're already seeing it now. There's a lot of kids that are, like, even younger than me, playing this game to an astronomical level. Like Resolve is 21. I don't even think he's 22 yet. Like that kid is ridiculous, and he's getting top. He got 5th at Evo, like the biggest third strike tournament of all time. Like there's hope for like the newer players that like really want to start out and get really good. There's a lot of resources. I always say it's the best time to be playing the game right now, as far as like trying to learn. So I just see myself getting, becoming a wise old man, trying to play this game and trying to keep it up with these younger kids playing. Like I'm gonna run into like old 19-year-old dickhead. That was me when I was 19 years old, and it's gonna be glorious, and he's gonna rage because I did too. Like I'm just excited I'm excited for the road along the way, of course, but like I just, if this game is gonna be as like important in my life in the future as it is now, that's the only route I can see. And I hope these tournaments keep getting bigger, and I hope more people keep playing, and it just rotates out. We got new killers showing up. We have people that, they've been playing the same way for 25 years from now. You know what I mean? Like it's going to be all that, and it's all going to be great, and it's going to be third strike.
I couldn't have said it any better. I can't think of a better ambassador to shepherd everyone into the future of Third Strike than you, Bubbles. Again, good luck at the finale. You have represented our game well, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in action. And so
I'm honored.
Yeah, if you want to see Bubbles, definitely consider coming out to Jazzy Finale weekend, June 20th to 22nd.
Please.
Or, watch it on Twitch. And so thanks again for tuning in. This is your next beat, signing off. And until next time.